So you're making charcuterie and some of your projects have mold on them. What are you going to do about that? Well, first off, I'm not a biologist. I have not made a career out of studying bacteria or molds. I have not made a career out of making charcuterie or sausage. I am a home hobbyist, but I am a curious person. I try to research things and understand them rather than just follow directions. And a few things I have learned is, well, white molds are good. Black, yellow, red, pink molds, don't think twice, throw it out. I haven't come across any of those molds, but if I did, I'd be sad, but I wouldn't hesitate to get rid of those projects. I have had some green mold and even some gray mold. In fact, last time I was weighing up my meats, I showed you some of the molds that I found. So today, I'm going to show you what I did about that. When weighing my meat up earlier, a couple of these pieces are just unacceptable. You can see this has some white mold, but obviously the white mold is losing the battle to this green, grayish furry mold, and that's no good. I don't really want to leave that like it is. So I'm going to try to kill off this mold. I'm going to take just some plain white vinegar, not diluted or anything. Going to take a nylon bristled brush. Clean rag can work well too. And I'm just going to start wiping this down. And look, I don't know if you can see this. There's white mold underneath that mold. See, I had white mold going on. It's losing the battle to this other mold. But the other important thing to understand, this doesn't happen if you have a good, correct environment. I'm pretty sure what I did, I had my cabinet too full. And I had this in front of my humidifier, and it's just too wet there. If your conditions are too wet, you're likely to grow molds you don't want. So pretty much, I'm just going to take straight vinegar, and I'm going to just get as much of this off as I can. But I'm taking some things out of my cabinet, and I'm not putting new things in yet because I'm not going to overfill it. If you saw my video, my bottom rack in the back, where my humidifier and dehumidifier are, I just can't hang things there. It's not the right environment. It's staying about 78 to 80% humidity everywhere else. But down there, it's like 83, 85, even 86 sometimes. It's just too wet. It's not going to work. So this is what I'm doing to handle it. Follow me. Check out, I'm going to be doing monthly videos on my weighing and just checking in on my cabinet. So if you follow, we'll see what happens with these pieces. Got a couple other pieces like this that I want to deal with, so I'll be right back. This piece has a bit of white mold. It's hanging like with this side towards the humidifier. This side, it's pretty much getting enough flow that it's not getting attacked too bad, but I don't like it, so try to get rid of this bad mold. And you can see if you have it growing on fat, like on this fatty part of this loin, it actually comes off pretty good and actually exposes the fat pretty well. It's coming off pretty easy. Well, I'm not going to worry about these little spots here that are in the middle of fighting with the white mold. I think if I get rid of a lot of this greenish stuff, that'll do okay. Well, I'm going to take a paper towel, dry off some of that excess vinegar, and see where I had a lot of ugly mold before. We're ducked down to the fat and we're looking okay. A little bit here, I want to take care of that more. But as I was saying, the important thing, really with any mold, if you have mold in your basement or anywhere in your house, dealing with the mold is one part of the issue, but you really got to figure out the conditions that are causing your mold. Usually, too much moisture, maybe not enough airflow, most likely one of those or both of those. That's looking okay to me. I can live with that. I know there might be some on that string, I just can't get rid of that without replacing the string, which I could do. It's pretty saturated with vinegar. I'm not going to worry about it at this point. That's going to go back on in. I think I might have one more I want to treat. Well, I'm going to try to add a little bit of insurance. I'm going to use some Mold 600. And this bag, I actually ordered some new ones, new mold, because this is getting a little older. And like a yeast, it becomes a little less active when it gets older. Still going to be fine. I might just put a little extra in. Actually, this is almost done. I'm just going to add the rest of this container. And I'm going to mix that in with about a cup of water. And just like with yeast, you know, this has to bloom. To wake up a little, bloom, become active. I'll show you tomorrow what I'm going to do with this, but I'm just going to leave it on my counter in a warm place. I mean, I have to tell you, So I have good, clean well water. But if you're using water from a public system where they bleach it, you want to use distilled water. I'll bring you back tomorrow to show you what I'm going to do with this. It's the next day. Got my mold 600 in the spray container. What I'm going to do first I'm going to take out my thermal hygrometer so I don't get that all wet and confused. Then I'm going to take my probe for my my humidity controller, and I'm going to wrap that up in some plastic wrap because it takes a long time for that to dry out if you get it all wet. Then I'm just going to take this. These two here are the pieces that experience the worst problems. So I'm going to spray that with Mold 600. This one too. Same thing that looks like it could use some help. Just give it some spray of this. And spray down my walls a little bit. No harm having some extra mold on the walls, as long as it's the white mold. And then I make sure to take the plastic back off of my probe. Put my thermal hygrometer back in. Probably going to be a little humid for a minute, but that'll be okay. And we'll check in at a later date. Take care. Put some love into your food.